Welcome to the BNB Investing Podcast for real estate investors. Fix and flippers and realtors exploring investment options with Airbnbs and short-term rentals through acquisition, leasing, or management to generate consistent monthly revenue. Join us for a chat with experienced and successful short-term rental investors to hear their story of how they got started and created wealth by building scalable businesses. We also explore various service providers and lenders that help make our businesses more efficient and maximize revenue in this awesome sharing economy. Welcome your host, Rich Munroe.
Munroe here with B&B Investing Group. Thanks for jumping on this week. B&B Investing helps investors navigate the short-term rental model, whether you're doing acquisitions, management, or leasing properties. And so today I'm pretty excited. We've got the Ed and Bethany that are B&B Investing program members and have been working diligently on this project that we're going to kind of talk about today. But before we get to that, Ed and Bethany, please give us a brief introduction and talk about your background and kind of how you got started in real estate.
Sure. We got started, I think it was about 2002. We were purchasing some homes and rehabbing them and selling them on lease purchase contracts. And we were doing that for a while. And then we started to branch out. We did some apartment complex. We did a couple offices. We had executive office suites building. We even got started to doing some home building, and that was in about 2007. And then kind of the market changed everything, and that went through a bit of a rough period. But then we got into land flipping, and we've been doing land flipping for several years, and have been following the short-term rental market. In fact, down at the South Atlanta RIA, you were the group leader, and we were doing the group leader of the land investing. So, we got some opportunities to chat, and it was something we were interested in, but it took us a little while to pull the trigger. And then, last year, we really decided, this is something that we want to go do, and we had a meeting with you. We signed up for your course, and then we went out and, started reviewing some properties. You teach several different methods. You teach being able to, either acquiring or doing lease arbitrage. Our first thought was we were going to go and do some lease arbitrage, and we were looking at a lot of the properties. We were up here in Lafayette, Georgia. So we're just about 35, 40 minutes south of Chattanooga. So we wanted to be local. Atlanta was a little further than we wanted to go, at least to get started. So we were up here. We were looking in Chattanooga. Chattanooga had just recently passed a bunch of laws making short-term rentals very, very difficult to get into, very limiting quite a bit what you could do. So we were looking at some of the stuff just across the border in Georgia, like Rossville and Ringgold. And what we were finding as we analyzed these deals was that, a lot of these were like single-family homes. They were like 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. They were in neighborhoods, and you could rent them for maybe $160, $180 a night. And most of them, they wanted $2,000 to lease them, and rents were a little bit kind of crazy, still are at the time. So, but one of the things that was popping up as I was doing the analysis on these is I would see these little tree houses that somebody has in their backyard, and they're like 200 square feet and really cute. And they're renting them, and they're like renting them for like $250 a night. And some bells started to go off that maybe that's a different direction, because we really like to be in the mountains. We like to be out in nature, and we kind of got the feeling that, sometimes maybe less can be more, as long as it's done really well and done cute, that you don't have to have a big, huge house that has 3 or 4 bedrooms to furnish to have it be, to get a good nightly rate out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that definitely holds true. And I think, there's kind of a nostalgia with the whole treehouse, tiny home, smaller property, even to, so it's kind of a continuous trend where folks are not only just for vacationing and kind of traveling, but they're also doing it with their primary residences as well. This kind of minimal thinking, getting rid of all your possessions and kind of downsizing. So it's definitely something that's quite lucrative, especially when you do the math and you talk about, well, you could do a 2,000 square foot house, or you could do a 200 or 400 square foot tiny home or cabin, and your revenue is going to potentially be higher in some cases, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so we started to go down that path. We were still analyzing deals. We analyzed a little bit over in LJ, and those numbers were a little higher. They were in the $300 give or take range a night, but they all wanted $3,500 or $4,000 a month in rent. And so as we looked through it, we kind of got feeling like, yeah, this is where we want to go. We had moved up here in 2019, and we hadn't been over. We went up into Chattanooga, up into the mountains there. We used to go east back to the places like Amicalola that we really liked. We hadn't really been over into Alabama, and we had went over there probably about a year earlier to a place called DeSoto Falls, and it's probably one of the most spectacular waterfalls in the tri-state area. I mean, we've been in North Carolina, a lot of places, and I don't know that I've seen any that are more spectacular than that. And there's this little town called Mentone. It's like a little art town, and we just kind of fell in love with the area. Just from a perspective of wanting to go back and hike the trail. So when we were thinking about this, that was one of the areas that came to mind. In fact, when we were discussing whether we wanted to sign up for your program, we went there for a long weekend for an anniversary, kind of a anniversary, and discuss future plans type thing, and stayed at a little cabin there. It was right in town. And, I think even as we were starting to analyze deals, that was kind of always in the back of my mind, like, I'd really like to have a development of 8 cabins or something and do that, as opposed to maybe these houses in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I was going to, as you were talking about it, because sometimes a picture's 1,000 words. Yeah. Is that the waterfall you were talking about?
Yes. So you can park and walk up at the top of it, which is very scary because it's very, very deep. You can also, if you park in a different location, walk to the bottom. So you're coming at the bottom of it. And both are very beautiful. Obviously, the one is a lot easier hike because your parking lot's right there. The other one's several miles, but they're both very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's, a lot of people don't even know that's out there. That's kind of like a hidden gem, and that's in northern Alabama.
Yes, northeast Alabama is DeKalb County. It's right just across the border from Georgia.
Okay, and so you decided that would be your potential location or your target market that you want to put a project in place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we were looking at, I was doing like searches on Zillow for land and property, and we were looking here in Walker County, which is where we live, and a couple of surrounding areas. And one of the things that really popped out, like here in Walker County, was that the regulations for like tiny homes and doing anything like that were so strict as to not be very feasible. Yeah. Interestingly, when I was first investigating DeKalb County over in Alabama, I wanted to get a feel for the regulations and stuff. So I was trying to reach out to the planning department. I couldn't find it on Google. So I finally called Fort Payne, which is the biggest city in the county seat. Their planning department, I'm like, I can't find DeKalb County's planning department. And they're like, well, there is none. There's no planning, there's no zoning. And I'm like, for the type of project and our experience level, I'm like, this sounds like, something that kind of sealed the deal for us, because
nice.
Yeah, a lot less red tape. Basically, they told us as long as the septic passes and you get your septic permit, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yep.
Very cool.
So we, I started doing a little bit of searching online in August, and then I think it was in October, like mid-October, October 14th, I went out and did kind of first search of the properties. We knew we wanted to have a property that was large enough, so we were looking at like a minimum of 5 acres, because we knew we couldn't just put one of these tiny cabins on and pay for the property and pay for the improvements and have it work. It would have to be multiple. So our thought was we needed to do at least 3 out of the gate to make all the numbers add up the way we wanted to, and hopefully have some room left on the property for future expansion. So that's kind of what I went out looking at some of these properties. We had enlisted a local agent, went out with her, and she showed us a whole bunch of properties. Really came down to 2. We put an offer in on one that we liked. It was like up in the 70, I think it was like 80,000 range. They didn't want to negotiate at all. And then there was this other one that was listed for 67, and we went back and offered 50, and they came down, and we ended up at like 58 for a nice 5-acre parcel over there that was real close into town. It's just a couple miles down the road to DeSoto Park. So location-wise, it's wonderful. It's wooded with a mixture of hardwoods and pines, and it was really what we were looking for. So
nice.
So we got the offer in. We got that under contract on October 27th. So once we decided to get moving, we moved pretty quick to find a property and get it under contract.
Yeah, because I know in the beginning, you guys were actually looking at some rental arbitrage opportunities and kind of going down that road. So it's kind of natural. It's kind of natural that you guys gravitated to what you know, right? You're very familiar with land. You've done a lot of land deals, and so that's actually a pretty nice, solid deal. 11,000 or so per acre for mountain property. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and at this point, we built so it's like an L shape. So we've built on the one side with, hopefully, fingers crossed this goes well, to build more on the other side. So
okay.
So
you go ahead.
Yeah, in DeKalb County, you can put 12 bedrooms on a property. Apparently, it doesn't matter if it's
doesn't matter the size of the property.
If it's 20 acres or 5, you can put 12 bedrooms on it, and it can be 12 single bedroom cabins, or it can be a 12-bedroom house. They don't really seem to much care as long as you can get the septic to test. So, that's what we want to do. We want to get this up and running so that we can kind of get a feel like, is the 1-bedroom model that these all are, is that the best? Do we want to mix in some 2s? She kind of wants to get at least one 3-bedroom up there that would fit our whole family. But, we want to kind of validate what we've done and see if we want to adjust a little bit before we go and build out phase 2.
Nice. So you technically have enough land left to do potentially another 3 or 2 or 3, depending on the size of each one, or?
Well, if we were to stick with 1s, we could probably do another 4 to 6.
Yeah.
Nice.
If we mix in 2s and 3s, we might do like 3 2s and a 3 or something.
Okay. So you got it under contract. You did your soil test. You did what else is involved with land when you do your due diligence? I know soil test is a big one. What's some other stuff you need to do?
Clearing,
and we wanted to make sure we had our numbers good. So we were meeting with people that were going to clear, people that were going to put the septic in. We were meeting with people that were going to put the driveway in, because we haven't done that kind of stuff in a while. We weren't really familiar with what's the cost of a driveway. We kind of had some ideas. We're probably in our mind like, hey, it's probably another $50,000, give or take, to do the improvements, which would put us, after closing costs, around 110,000. But, we wanted to validate that. We didn't want to get a surprise and find out that the septic that we thought was going to be, 12,000 and ends up being 20. In the end, it actually came in cheaper than we were expecting. Labor costs are a little cheaper over there than certainly Atlanta, or even Metro Chattanooga, if you can say such a term.
Well, that's good. And then, so once you were able to secure the land, you then kind of try to figure out, well, what kind of cabin are you going to put on there, right? And so,
That was
I was
was
involved with some of that. And
Yeah.
I think you guys basically looked at every possible option and angle that exists today.
Yeah,
We did. Yeah, we wanted to really vet it out and figure out, what would make the sense, what would be cost effective, but also, be attractive to guests. And we went through a real whole bunch of them. And that was another part of our due diligence. We wanted to make sure we could find the right thing to put on there that would be cost effective and wouldn't get surprises there. And we looked at stuff from park model homes, some of the more modern looking tiny cabins or tiny homes that we looked at. And, those are generally park models or on wheels. We found one vendor up in Pennsylvania that had a really nice log cabins that they were putting on wheels. And for a long time, that was our leading choice. We found some Nordic style cabins that were prefab. We really like those. I actually still would like to go back and do another project with a Nordic theme after we get this one done and running. We were just going through a whole bunch of stuff. We're looking at prefabs and
shipping containers. Shipping containers.
I think we're on Facebook Live. Somebody was doing containers, and I get where some people are coming from, but when you got an 8-foot wide space, it really makes laying things out challenging. And we looked at how they fit on the property. We even had people, drop custom plans for us and give us quotes, and we just couldn't make that work. We didn't like the aesthetics of it. We really, in the end, came back to we wanted a cabin in the woods feel. We thought that was most appropriate for the area. And we had looked at everything. We thought we were going to go with the park model one that was from Pennsylvania. The shipping costs were a little high for that. But what we found was that I thought park model would be easier to finance because, it's an RV essentially from a bank's perspective. And if I wanted to buy one for myself, that would have been a really simple proposition. But trying to find financing for 3 of them through a business became really challenging. So that kind of pushed us back towards the prefab cabins. And we had looked at a bunch of stuff. We were looking at the containers, and then I was on Facebook Marketplace, and I saw these people advertising these shell cabins, and basically they were putting up, putting these kits together, and they were just doing like electrical around the perimeter and like 2 ceiling fans and 2 lights. But it was an attractive price of like $20,000 to get those. So I called them up and talked to them. I'm like, do you guys finish these out? Could I get you to, because I didn't really know a lot of contractors. I didn't want to get into having to line up everybody on site myself, not really knowing the area, not knowing the people. Yeah. So I was really wanting something that I could ship in and have it be almost done. And they're like, we'll do this. We'll do it. We've been doing a few of these, and we're ramping up that part of our business. So, we closed in February. A big piece, one of the other things other than vetting the property and vetting the cabin choices was also we did a lot of work on business credit and lining that stuff up. We were able to buy the property when we closed with an unsecured business line of credit. We were able to do the deposits on the cabins when we did that. The other thing, when I was talking to the local banker, cabins that you could consider permanent were a lot easier for them to finance. They're like, we're going to have a challenge trying to finance these park models that, for like a construction loan. So that was another thing that pushed us in that direction. And in fact, it was kind of funny that the banker, I met with one of the local bankers there in Fort Payne shortly after we closed, and I was just telling about the project, and we were talking about the park model, and I was also like, hey, I'm looking at these other cabins, and he was really interested, so he has go get some info. So I've got the info. That's kind of when we decided, after he told us he wouldn't really be able to finance the park models, that we were going to go the cabin direction. We went down and looked at this vendor, and we're just like, love the style, loved what they're doing. It's got the authentic log cabin look with the chinking and the stuff that you see, if you go to the Chickamauga battlefield and look at the cabins, that's the authentic style, not necessarily the Lincoln log
Right.
style. And we just love the look, and we're kind of sold. So we went back to the banker and we're like, yeah, we're going to do this. We filled out the application. He calls me. I had to go pick up my daughter, I think, over in Dalton. And then I think it was like the end of the day, he calls me. He goes, I talked to my people, and we want to do this deal. He talked to his loan committee.
Nice.
I've dealt with, being in real estate, I've dealt with local banks and mortgages and stuff. I've never had a banker come back like basically the same day and say, we got you approved subject to appraisal.
Very cool.
Love this deal.
Very nice. So what's the average cost on each cabin?
I think we're in, I got a whole pile of receipts on my desk, and I do know that down the stretch, we've went over on a few things. I think particularly we under budgeted on landscaping and some of this finishing up. If you can see, well, I don't know, I guess you don't have the pictures up, but we put in.
Oh, let's jump into that for sure.
Yeah. So if you look at the outside picture, you can see we put in a nice set of steps. It ended up being a little higher than what we thought. So we got some nice stucco skirting that we put on it. We didn't want any cheap metal stuff that made it look like a trailer. We want it to look like it's a cabin that's going to be there for 100 years. But I think in the end, the cabin prices themselves were probably, I've got some notes on my sheet here. They were probably about $60,000 delivered and installed per cabin.
Okay.
It was about 45 for the cabin itself, and then we had to hook up to the electric and hook up to the septic and hook up all that. So we were in a little over 100, about 110 for hard costs to prep, and then about 60,000 per cabin. I think with all the decorating and everything, we're probably around 330 right now for the 3 cabins. So
okay.
About 110, give or take.
About 110 for each one.
Yeah, total cost, decorated, ready to rent.
Very good. And so I see the electrical on the pole there, and basically you had these things delivered, and then you had an electrician connect the electricity.
Yep.
Let's have a look on the inside here, so folks can kind of get a sense of what it looks like. Here's a shot of the 3 cabins in a row, right? So you've got them pretty much where you can also host families that might come in and rent all 3 cabins, right?
Correct.
Yeah, we probably eventually want to do a listing specifically tailored to that, but we haven't got there yet.
Very cool.
Yeah,
one
stucco that we put on it.
Yeah, and then you added the hot tubs for each one.
Yes.
Yes, we were looking at Air, Price Labs and Air DNA. The analysis, it was looking like about an average about $40 a night difference between similar ones that had hot tubs and ones that didn't. So for $5,000 each, that seemed like a no-brainer. And
then so for everybody that's seeing this the first time, your nightly rate is kind of averaging as a starting point at what number per night?
We're listing them at like 160 now and 180 on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be playing with that. Our goal and our numbers is if we can get, an average of about 160 a night with, about 60%, 55-60% occupancy, we should get some really good numbers, good ROI.
So what's that monthly per unit, the gross?
I think we were looking at over 3,000 per unit.
3,000 per unit. So you're talking 9,000 per month,
9,000 per month
in gross revenue, and your all-in cost was 110.
Well, about 10 for all 3 cabins, it was about 330.
330. Okay, yeah. So 110 for each cabin, right? Okay. Okay, so those are pretty good numbers from a return standpoint.
Yeah, because I know a lot of the houses we were looking at would probably have been, over 300 just for the house.
Yeah. And then you've got some of your listing pictures showing what's going on in the area. Very cool.
Yeah, our photographer actually just kind of threw those in as a bonus. He does a lot of the listings in the area, both for agents and for like Airbnbs, and he has some stock photos, and he just kind of threw those in at no cost.
Very nice. So tell us a little bit about, the process of getting them delivered and set up. Now, here's some inside pictures here.
Measure well. We had them delivered. First one came on a Friday night in July. So if you're thinking about our time frame, we closed in February. We ordered the cabins, I think, in closed the property in February. We closed the construction loan in April 18th, and then I believe we put in the orders for the cabins were, I think, about the end, a little bit before we closed the loan, because we had the business lines of credit to make the down payments on them. And then so they came in early, or I guess it was about mid-July. The first one came in on a Friday, and they're like, we can't fit this up the driveway.
Yeah, a little bit. The canopy was a little bit too wide because the roof sticks out,
and
so
the trees lean in, and it's up high on the truck, and they're like, so we had to call the person who had done our clearing and get them to come out in an emergency overnight well, that was on a Friday, so I think he came out Saturday and cut like another 20 trees down along the driveway.
Wow.
So that we could get.
I guess that must have been a scary moment. You're like, oh my goodness, we went through all of this and now we can't get them in here.
Well, it's just, what I was happy was that the guy could turn around and get out there quick. Because I wouldn't have wanted to back that up, because once I confirmed he could get out there, then I said, just bring the next one Monday and you can move them both into position that day. And we didn't really miss a beat from it, but yeah, we had a few moments, but overall most of it went pretty smoothly. We did like the landscaping. We had a guy from our church over here that ended up doing that. I knew he did masonry work. I didn't know he did like full landscaping. Mm-hmm. And we had a hard time even getting people out there to meet with us. Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 that met with us never got back with an estimate. One of the ones that did, it's like, it will be the mid-October before we can come. And, this was back in like early August. And this, the guy that we know from our church, he was out there. He did the stucco work. He was out there the next, a day or 2 later, getting started. He
started right away,
and was able to get that stuff done in a timely manner. Overall, I think we're running probably about a month late on where we wanted, and I think if we do it again, we'll know where some of the bottlenecks are and be able to plan a little bit of ahead. Like, we had 2 aborted deliveries on the appliances because these things ended up being up a little higher than we expected. We didn't have any stairs.
Yeah.
We can't bring the appliances in. I'm like, well, don't you guys bring a ramp or something? Like, no. Yeah. So then they came out again and getting ready to come out again. And I'm like, they didn't have they were supposed to bring like a 3-man crew. Well, they didn't have the 3-man crew.
So that was before you had the front deck there. And so the door was 4 feet off the ground, 3 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it had the deck. It just didn't have the stairs. So the deck comes.
Right.
Comes on it. Okay. The stairs is the part that we had to add. So
like in hindsight, I could have had the people to do the stairs probably lined up the week after the the week the cabins came. And some of that stuff, we kind of got a little flat-footed with a few of those items.
It's the little details. It's the little details.
The skirting ended up being higher and bigger than we expected. So we're kind of like, it took us a little bit, like we looked at the fake stone, which was super expensive and still looked fake. And we didn't want cheap looking metal. And I feel like we got something that really looks natural. And it's actually something you might find on one of the old houses in the area. Mm-hmm. So we had a couple delays. We had some of the last decor items that we ordered. And it's like, oh, if they're going to take 2 weeks, you're ordering all this stuff. We're ordering off of Amazon, we're ordering off of Wayfair, and we're ordering off of Timo and Walmart, and we got things that are being canceled on us, and we're having to go out and reward. So
that was fun.
That few stressful moments here and there on that, but overall it went pretty smoothly.
So how has it been being in the B&B investing program through this process? How has that helped you?
Oh, I think it's just been key because I don't think we would have understood how to analyze the properties. I mean, that's one of the things that held me back for a long time. I was interested in doing it, but what should I expect as an occupancy rate? Right. And you walked us through all the tools like Price Labs and AirDNA, and taught us how to do the analysis and just the whole process from start to finish, whether you're trying to buy something or in our case build it, which is fairly similar, and or you're doing the arbitrage, or I guess we got some people that are just doing as managers, and it covers all that. And I don't think we would have gotten to this point without your assistance. So.
Okay, very good, very good. And so you got it staged and set up, got your listing pictures taken, and yes. This was how long ago? Just last week or within the last few weeks?
A couple weeks ago. We delayed on the listing pictures a week because of weather, but that actually allowed all the rest of our decor items to come in. So it kind of worked out because I don't think it would have popped as much without some of the last minute touches. If you want to, maybe look at some of the interior.
Yeah, sure. Let's see.
We had a big pile of logs. We ended up getting another friend of ours from our church came in, and he cut up all those logs and built a nice little wall.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because we're trying to figure out what to do between our property and the neighbor to have privacy, both for our renters and also for her, because it's her backyard. And so you can see there was a lot of trees that were cut down because that wall is really long, but it turned out really good. Plus the furniture that he did around the fire pit as well. I was like, it'd be nice to just have some logs. And then I came the one day and he had all that there, and I thought, wow, this is perfect. Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Exactly what I was thinking. Like, he plucked that right out of my brain. So
very cool. Yeah. Let's see. So you have some of the inside pictures here.
Yeah, the TV cabinet was one of the ones we ordered that from 3 different places. It kept getting canceled. And finally we ordered from one other place, a different style. And these ones came. I have no idea where these ones even came from.
Or not. These ones came from Walmart.
They came. We ordered from 3 different places. They were canceled 3 different times, but they still showed up. So that was fun.
Like if you want to go back to the sink there, like we wanted to keep in a budget, but to splurge and kind of make a few things look really nice. Like, so I really like what we did with the sink there. It's not your cheap little, metal sink. It's got the little cutting board and the drying rack built into it.
Well, because we don't have a dishwasher,
right.
so it's a big style sink, because you needed something big there for hand washing, but also have the built-ins because there's not a lot of countertop either. So you get that added countertop there with those accessories, and that comes with that sink if you order it that way.
Very cool. That looks nice.
Yeah.
So you got it staged and set up and listed, and then how long did it take before you got your first few bookings?
Well, the first one came in like the next day, and I was not really prepared to have a booking.
He was panicking.
I hadn't really completely finished the listing. I was still going back and cross-referencing the course. And I think there was some significant parts I hadn't even gotten done yet.
Yeah.
And listings were coming in, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah, you got a booking for like November.
I mean, we're
right away already.
We got quite a few. I don't know. We probably got like 9 or 10 bookings now.
Yeah.
Over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
All right. And so we have our pricing call set up for Monday, so we can kind of strategically get you guys linked into the price optimization tool and get on your channel manager and make sure that you can kind of look at scaling and adding more units, put in some automation to hopefully make it a lot less manual for you. So that's good. So this is exciting. So it looks like you're off to a really good start here. And to your point, Ed, I think it's going to give you some good data points to decide on your phase 2, right?
Yeah. And just another note about Price Labs, we were using that for our analysis, and we picked a comp set and stuff. I printed out a full report it was probably 20 pages long, and I walked that in to the banker and plopped that down with my pictures and a few other things. And I think that was also part of what even though we hadn't done this before, I think we definitely looked like we knew what we were doing. We
Very
looked
cool.
Professional, and I think that helped sell the deal to him really quickly.
Yeah, there's nothing better than providing too much data to a banker, and that gives them the confidence that you've got things covered. So that's awesome. Yeah, those reports are pretty extensive. I mean, they cover a lot of different things that are a lot more of a deeper dive than some of the other pricing platforms that are out there. So it's definitely more data is better sometimes.
Yeah.
So what are your next steps from here? Are you going to look at other projects to get started, or are you going to take a deep breath and
we got to get, this has been a construction project so far. Yeah. Now we really got to actually be a short-term rental person. So we got to get these listings up. We got to start getting some activity and kind of master that part of the business, as you said, do some of the automations so that we will have the time available to consider we want to do phase 2. And I really do have kind of this thought in my back of my mind. I want to do like a Nordic themed. I kind of want to do like a Nordic version of Helen or something.
If you could
nice.
Get a piece of property over on the brow.
Yeah, I want one that has views this time, because I think those Nordic style cabins that had like a full window up on a second floor loft would just be perfect for something like that. So we kind of got to digest what we did and work on phase 2. But I really enjoyed this whole process. So I'm looking forward to doing more of these projects and kind of making hopefully each one a little bit bigger than the last one was.
Very cool. That's awesome. Well, congratulations, guys. It was a really good job. Before we close it up, what's one piece of advice that you would give another person that's really kind of getting started and looking into doing this as an option? What's kind of one takeaway that you would give them as a nugget?
Well, I tell them to sign up for your course.
Yeah.
You'll get a lot of the answers there. The other thing that, if you got at least half decent personal credit, look at business credit. I don't think we could have easily. We had some decent personal credit facilities, but the problem with personal credit is as soon as you start using it, your credit score goes way down.
Yeah.
We had a mix of business lines of credit, a construction loan, and some zero interest credit cards. And that really helped make doing the project a lot easier. So
cool.
Having your finances, having your credit lined up, being ready to go talk to a banker and stuff, that's also, I think, key if you want to do something like this.
Yeah, and we do cover some options in the program that we've used for our business and others have used successfully. And I think that's a great point. There are a lot of options that allow you to tap into business lines of credit that don't impact your personal FICO score. And so it allows you to kind of be able to scale and not be constrained from income to debt ratio standpoint. So that's a great piece of advice.
And just take it step by step,
Take it step by step.
We kind of had an idea, and I think it turned out a lot what we had in our mind, but you're not going to know every detail of how it's going to turn out. You just got to sometimes take a jump and get started.
You need to be flexible too.
Yes.
Definitely be flexible, not rigid.
Be able to adapt and adjust.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So I know you guys were a little bit nervous about the first guest. I'm sure everything's going to be fine for this weekend. And I'm looking forward on Monday to hear how everything turned out. And thanks again for jumping on with us this week. And, we'd love to have you back again once you kind of get your phase 2 project up and running.
Oh, we love
look
to be
forward
on.
to it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks again, everybody, for watching B&B Investing Group. And keep in mind, if you want to grow a scalable business or like Ed and Bethany, kind of do some acquisitions and developments, feel free to reach out to me directly on Facebook Messenger. We'll set a time to talk and see if the program's a good fit for you or not. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. And Ed and Bethany, thanks again. We'll talk to you on Monday. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You
All
too.
right,
Take
thanks.
care.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks for jumping on the BNB Investing Podcast this week. Please click on the subscribe and like button below. For more trainings, property tours, and content, you can join my BNB Investing Facebook group by clicking below. If you are ready to grow your short-term rental portfolio and maximize your monthly income, you can click on the link below to schedule a quick strategy call with Rich or someone from his team to see how we can help or point you in the right direction. Stay tuned for our next episode and hope to see you on the BNB Investing Group podcast.